Hey everybody, this video is part of our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. You can find that on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes. You can pretty much find it anywhere, so we don't care where you listen. Just stick around and check it out.
But Mark, we are going to move on and start the meat and potatoes of this podcast, the first ever preview for the 2017 offseason. We're starting a 2-month journey now, which all of June, all of July, up until we get the Hall of Fame game. I want to say it's on August 3rd this year.
Can't wait.
It's the Hall of Fame game for the preseason, the first time we will get football this season. And how we do it, if you're new to the Onside Kick and Most Valuable Podcast, is each week we do a division. We're going to have each team as a segment, kind of talk about each team, and then kind of leave it up to you to let us know in the comment section. We're starting with the AFC West, and we're going to start with the bottom feeder, which is the LA Chargers, not the San Diego Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers.
The Los Angeles Chargers aren't necessarily the bottom feeder.
They're not.
That was that San Diego team that we don't talk about anymore.
Now they are the real deal, as they are moving to LA to play with the Rams in their stadium once it's built. But this is a team through free agency. According to the NFL.com free agent tracker, they didn't really have a lot kind of go on. The big one was Russell Okung is now coming on to play on the offensive line. They re-signed Jaleel Addae, the safety, and really the only one that's not on the team anymore that was last year, Danny Woodhead, the main departure coming into this year. They're going to have rookies come into it. Their big one that they signed, the wide receiver Mike Williams, to help out on that kind of wide receiver core. I'm going to ask you, Mark, because the Chargers are usually your team. When we do the season prediction videos, you're usually the one that backs the Chargers.
I have high hopes.
You have high hopes for the Chargers. What do you think is going to go on in Chargerland this year?
Well, I think that Mike Williams proved to be very reliable. And something that the Chargers kind of lack in their past few seasons was being a reliable team. They're a team that always kind of just misses. Now, and I mentioned the wide receiver, but I don't want to put the blame on wide receivers here. The Chargers are one of those teams that are constantly in the game and then somehow manage to lose the game. And if we want to talk about, players who were in the game and managed to win the game, that's one reason why Mike Williams is such an exciting target for the newly LA Chargers. This is a team that's got some great pieces on defense. I'm excited to see Joey Bosa have an entire year to play.
Even an off season to work, because remember last year it was the Bosa gate of, hey, when's he going to sign his contract? He wants that big money, man. He don't want to.
And I didn't expect him to do that great missing the off season, but he did a fantastic job when he did have the opportunity out there.
The Bosa constrictor.
Yeah, so I would love to see what he can do this time, and I definitely think he's going to make life kind of hell for some of these quarterbacks out there. But for the Chargers, honestly, I expect a better season than 5-11, but I'm not getting too far ahead of myself and expecting a great season out of them.
And to me, the biggest thing about the Chargers heading into this season is the health of Keenan Allen, because for the past 2 years, injury, and he's been sidelined, and we haven't seen anything from him. This is supposed to be the guy that is your number one target, the guy leading your wide receiver core, and he's injured. You can't have that. That's part of a reason why I feel like they went out and drafted a Mike Williams of, hey, if Keenan Allen's out there, great. Mike Williams can be the number 2, number 3, one of our starting wide receivers. However, if Keenan Allen gets injured, we need someone for Phillip Rivers to throw the ball to, because if Keenan Allen gets injured this year, Travis Benjamin is now their pseudo number 1, but not really, because I would put Mike Williams at that number 1 slot. Travis Benjamin slides into the number 2, and then really you got, I would say, either Inman or Bruce kind of move in to that slot receiver role. You're going to miss a lot, especially when, Hunter Henry came on last year as the rookie. Really, the big thing I remember him from last year was that game against the Colts where the Chargers were in it. Late in the game in the fourth, Hunter Henry fumbled the ball, the Chargers lost that game. But the thing with the tight ends is Antonio Gates is getting old. He ain't going to be here forever. He's kind of getting to the end of the line. So if you lose Keenan Allen, yeah, you have Antonio Gates, but he's getting to the end of the line. How can Hunter Henry step up in year 2? And what are we going to see from Mike Williams as a rookie? Because all these rookies, like the main ones towards the top, we expect them to come in and produce right away. However, you got to understand, they're rookies. They're going to have kind of growing pains throughout the season. I would say especially a rookie like Mike Williams, who he's not like coming in and it's like, boom, this is like a Randy Moss type of talent coming in. That's why I think the health of Keenan Allen is the biggest question mark to me. What is he going to do? How is he going to stay healthy this year? And can he be the number one for this team yet again?
Yeah, I definitely think that Keenan Allen's health is vitally important for sure. Because him and Mike Williams can be a great complement to each other. You know, having them out there is only going to make Melvin Gordon do better and make him do as well as he kind of has shown some of those flashes. To kind of go with that on the well, actually, this I guess is the wrong side. I think Forrest Lamp's going to play on the left side of the line, but he's a guy who I'm very, very excited to see what he can do because I thought that this was a guy who dropped way further than it needed to drop because, yes, we're just talking beginning of the second round, but this was a guy who I was thinking was, you know, for my mock drafts, I had him in the mid to late first round. You know, it was a guy who I thought was going to be a great addition, a great solid rock in an offensive line. And the Chargers, what do they need help with as well? Solidifying that offensive line. So that's going to help out, bring this team forward. The interesting thing about the Chargers is last year, I mean, they have Phillip Rivers. You know, they have great wide receivers. They have Antonio Gates. This offensive passing attack is always going to be good. It was the run game that wasn't where you wanted it to be. And then it was the defense letting teams score too many points, which is unfortunate because this team on offense could score a lot of points. They just gave up more, unfortunately, because the defense couldn't quite keep going as well.
And I'm glad you brought up the offensive line because when you look at the center and the entire left side of their line, the entire left side, Okun right now is slotted at left tackle. This is according to ourlads.com. Lamp is slotted at the left guard, and they also have a new center coming in. The Bears released Slauson May 1st, May 7th of 2016. Boom, he got a 2-year deal with the Chargers. So they have pretty much the center and whole left side of their line is brand new. Protecting Phillip Rivers. I almost said Aaron Rodgers. Protecting Phillip Rivers and also making sure you have that run game for Melvin Gordon because he had a big year last year. His rookie year, we looked at it and we made the joke of, wow, his mom doesn't even want to wear his jersey because he's that bad. Only had 641 yards that year on 148 carries, didn't have a single touchdown. Plus those touchdowns had 10 of them in 2016, almost had an 1,000-yard season.
Yeah.
So now you're adding those two plus a guy who's not even slotted right now to start, but they also bring in Dan Feeney, so they get 2 rookies coming in that could help them in the offensive line department to either A, protect Phillip Rivers or make those holes for Melvin Gordon to run through.
Yep. It's really going to come down to this. I mean, the run game needs to improve. And like we're saying, like you said as well, Melvin Gordon had a good season last year, but this run game, this run game wasn't where you want it to be, where you want it to go. So you have to continue moving forward. The passing game, I mean, if it gets better, fantastic, but it's already one of the better passing attacks in the NFL. The thing that they really need is they need to continue getting pressure on quarterbacks, and the secondary needs to just be as solid as possible, not to give up those touchdowns, because this team constantly is, I mean, this is not just last season, the season before. This is just Chargers football here. They're constantly in the game, and then they lose it in the fourth quarter. That's typically how Chargers ball works.
Just like that Colt game I mentioned. In the game, Hunter Henry fumbles, they lose the game.
And that one's one where you're not actually it's not the defensive fault there.
Yeah. That's the one that just sears into my brain. Just and it's there. That's what I remember.
And unfortunately for Chargers fans, that's what they're kind of used to, is a lot of those heartbreaks. And it's unfair to the fans. It's unfair to a guy who is talented as Phillip Rivers. And they have a lot of talent on this team.
And that's kind of the last guy I wanted to bring up before we kind of move on into the next team, which will be the Denver Broncos, is the one guy we have not talked about. We've talked about everyone around him. We've kind of hit on the defense a little bit. Really, the big thing with them is Joey Bosa. How is he? He's the one on the defense that I'm looking for, is how is he going to mature in year number 2. I also like Desmond King, who they brought in, one of the rookies. I believe they're going to have him play safety. But really, the one guy we haven't mentioned, Phillip Rivers. Is this the year where we finally look at the Chargers and go, wow, they finally gave him some help. They finally gave him some offensive line help. He has a running back behind him that he can lean on in Melvin Gordon. Keenan Allen is not hurt, so he has a wide receiver that he can use. Oh, shoot, Mike Williams, they also drafted him. He's also providing help to Phillip Rivers. Is this kind of the year where Phillip Rivers is able to put it all together because he has everything around him working and clicking in order?
Well, I hope so. And I mean, Phillip Rivers, I don't want to put it like Phillip Rivers is something bad. I mean, Phillip Rivers is always the bright spot on his team.
Just hasn't had anything to work with, really. Everything hasn't come together for him in LA, in San Diego.
I know that this is not going to happen because this is not the way the Chargers are built, but I always want to see that 5,000, at least close to it, 5,000 yard season for Phillip Rivers. He's typically that 4,000 yard type of guy, but I would just love to see it. What he really needs is that running game to help him out, and he can afford to give up some of those yards for the run game to be going well. And not, I don't want to call him game manager because that's not what he is, but maybe be a little bit more of the game manager and allow some of the other players to kind of show off a little bit. And that way, too, maybe that helps the guy like Keenan Allen stay healthy. I don't really know for sure because Keenan Allen's not good at being healthy. But yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of opportunity for Phillip Rivers to kind of meet some more of that potential that he's got for a guy who's always that kind of underloved, underappreciated quarterback in the NFL.
No, and this year for Phillip Rivers is going to be, I'm going to say, the most important year, not just for him, but for the Chargers in general, because I look at the one thing we forgot to mention, their coaching staff is pretty much brand new. The only one from offense and defense and head coach that are staying the same is Ken Wisenhunt. He's the only kind of constant that stays with this. Anthony Lynn, new head coach coming over from Buffalo. I remember we talked about it when it happened. We had that huge podcast, the Black Monday podcast, where we talked about all the new coaches that were coming to new teams, and also defensive coordinator. He used to be the head coach in Jacksonville, but now we have Gus Bradley over doing the defensive coordinator work with the Chargers. So this is kind of a coaching staff that you've got new defensive coordinator, new head coach. The only constant is Ken Wisenhunt. That's the one I like to see, though, because you can have that. Phillip Rivers isn't going to have to learn a brand new offensive system. It's going to be, he's working still with Ken Wisenhunt. There might be some small tweaks, though, for what Anthony Lynn wants to do overall.
Yeah, this new coaching staff, with the exception of Wisenhunt, kind of do have some things to prove this year. There was a lot of people.
Lynn, he's
I was going to say, there's a lot of people, including the two of us, who had a lot of questions about Anthony Lynn and that hiring. So they need to go out, win some games, and prove us wrong.
Well, and this is where we're going to turn the question on to you, LA Charger fans. If there are any of you in LA, I know a lot of you are in San Diego still, but let us know down below. What do you think about your Chargers heading into this year? I know it's early right now. That's how it usually is for these beginning previews that we get, but still, let us know down below. What do you think about your Chargers heading into the 2017 season?
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and don't worry, there is plenty more where that came from. You guys can check it out right over here. Click that video, start watching it, and just stick around on Most Valuable Podcasts.